Let's get right into it. You probably think your country's in the driver's seat, right? You vote, laws get passed, and your nation charts its own course through history. Well, prepare to have that illusion completely shattered. We are cracking open the underlying code of our world to expose the hidden architecture that's actually pulling the strings. It's time to unlearn literally everything you thought you knew about global power. Welcome to The Explainer.
So, you think independent nations rule the world? We've all been taught that if a country just secures its borders and manages its economy, it controls its own destiny. It's super intuitive, right? Just divide the planet into neat little independent boxes on a map.
You are completely wrong. Seriously, it's a total illusion. The borders you see on those maps, they are essentially meaningless when you look at the true forces driving history. This is a massive paradigm shift. We have to look past the geopolitical theater.
Enter Immanuel Wallerstein and World Systems Analysis. And look, this isn't just some dusty academic theory. It's a massive, data-driven framework built to destroy global myths. By zooming out and tracking centuries of trade and labor, this methodology proves that the nation-state is just a tiny cog in a giant, inescapable global machine.
Part 1. The real global matrix. Let's forget countries for a second and look at the real underlying system.
Historically, the globe is basically split between two systems. First, you have a world empire. Think ancient Rome, right? One massive political center ruling over everyone through direct force. But the second system? That is the exact matrix we are trapped in today, a world economy. This is where multiple competing political centers, what we call nations, are all totally chained together by one inescapable economic web.
The absolute crucial point here is that we live inside a massive cross-border network of production. There is no single emperor calling the shots. Zero. Instead, it's this integrated economic zone where labor and resources just flow across borders. It literally does not care about national sovereignty. The only thing it cares about is relentless profit and endless expansion.
Part 2. The capitalist engine. So, how does this massive machine actually survive?
It survives by building an inescapable trap in three very specific steps. First, it builds a single global division of labor. It decides exactly who sweats for cheap raw materials and who gets the high-tech, high-value profits. Second, it keeps multiple states constantly competing against each other to force efficiency. And third, this is wild, it actively prevents any single empire from taking over, because a true global monopoly would instantly kill the brutal competition that keeps the whole system breathing.
Literally every aspect of your life is just a gear in this machine. Markets and firms, they're just there to drive relentless competition. Multiple states and governments, they just enforce the rules of the game. In your household, your social class, in this framework, they are structurally designed to do one thing: absorb and produce labor. From global trade down to your morning commute, you are feeding the capitalist engine.
Part 3. Is the theory flawed? But wait, is this academic framework hiding some massive blind spots?
Oh, absolutely. Critics fiercely attack it. First off, they argue it completely erases cultural autonomy. It treats deep human traditions, religions, and art like they're just economic byproducts. And second, it is heavily criticized for being dangerously Eurocentric. It basically forces the entire history of the world through the very narrow lens of Western European capitalism, completely sidelining the agency of the rest of the globe.
The brutal reality is, they say it arrogantly tries to explain absolutely everything. Critics call it a grand narrative and tax it with economism. Basically, that's a fancy way of saying it's far too simple. You can't force the messy, unpredictable reality of human politics into a rigid economic spreadsheet. Humans are driven by passion, beliefs, and culture, right? Not just their assigned spot on a global supply chain.
Part 4. The system is collapsing. Flawed or not, its final warning is utterly terrifying. Because here is the inevitable life cycle of our global system. It starts with stability, but eventually, the long-term trends hit a total dead end. When the system can physically no longer expand, it hits what academics call a bifurcation. That is a severe structural breaking point. The system literally splits, and that leads directly into a period of wild, uncontrollable chaos. And here's the crazy part. We are watching this catastrophic chaos erupt globally right now. Wild financial speculation that central banks completely lose control of, unpredictable outbreaks of global violence, the massive failure of traditional moral constraints. These are not random bad news days. In this framework, these are the mathematically predictable symptoms of a system entering its terminal phase.
The global matrix is fracturing. It has officially hit its structural breaking point. According to Wallerstein's modeling, a world economy in this phase of bifurcation simply cannot survive in its current form. The internal contradictions are just too massive. The old tools used to keep the balance, they are completely broken.
The old system is burning out. The choice is being forced upon us. When the dust finally settles, what new world will we choose to build from the ashes? Will we finally look past the illusion of lines on a map to see how power really works? Because the system is transforming right now, whether we are ready for it or not. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.